Here's a good question. Hardie backer, the ultimate cement board, or Allura cement backer board. So today's episode is going to be which one? And because I'm going to use both and I'm going to see which one I like better or if they're actually pretty much the same. Hi, I'm John with Lowe Build. Today I'm going to go over Hardie backer board or Allura. I've used the Allura, which is from Menards. I use that on the walls and the ceiling for my shower enclosures downstairs. So I don't have any full sheets, but it's also a 3x5 sheet that's at the store. That is some pieces that I have left over. So we're going to go over to figure out which one is better? Is one better? Which one costs more? Which one was worked better? Which one installed better? And if they're practically the same, I don't know yet. So, the first one we'll go over is the price. So, both of these were around $10 a sheet. Now, some of the places might have been a little bit higher, some might have been a little bit lower. Menards is running the 11% off on stuff, and so I got the rebate on that. But the Hardie backer was a little more expensive, but if you got 20 sheets or more, it was 10% off, which I think it was like $12, so you take $1.20 off for the 10%. I have the Lowe's credit card, which gets another 5% off. So they came in pretty dang close. I also factor in that the Menards is further away for me to drive, and so then you have your fuel costs to go pick it up, and then the Hardie backer is in Lowe's, which is right next to where I live, and so it's very easy to pick it up. So let's go over the next item, which would be what are they made of? So I have here, this is a Hardie backer, and it tells you what are the pieces, the containments. And so we have quartz and hydrate and the cellulose fiber. Now these are all items that are going to could be hazardous to your health. And so for that, I strongly recommend using a respirator when you're dealing with this stuff, because the quartz and these other things that are in here contain a silicate, and a silicate can't not be broken down in the lungs, and so that can bind into the lung, and that's where you can have real problems. So I got this at Harbor Freight. It's a Neoshow P100, right, which takes all of the particles, 100% of the particles out. You can use it for spraying VOCs, things like that. I use it when I was doing my drywall dust, and I also used it for this because I didn't want the silicates. I also, if I'm cutting this stuff or I'm working with it, I do it outside and not in here so that the wind blows that stuff away, because I just don't want this stuff in my lungs. So, all right, so we have the quartz and the silicate in this one, and then I went on and looked at the safety data sheet for Allura, and it is practically the same. And they have also quartz, alumina, hydroxide, and bentonite, which are almost lined up exactly to what these are. And there probably are a few little nuances, they probably have their proprietary mixes that they use that they don't probably want to talk about, but when you feel this, when you run your hand on this, it feels almost exactly the same. They both they feel and look like that the tile will stick just fine to it and have the waterproofing qualities that they both talk about. The adherence of the thin set and the tile to them is very good, especially if you're going to do my ceiling in my bathrooms and my shower stalls. So it has a good adherence so that the tile doesn't fall off while you're, before it has a chance to dry. So I'm going to grab the camera, and now we're going to take a close look at each one of these products. First up is the Hardie backer. It simply says Hardie backer on here. Okay, Hardie backer uses a grid system to where you want to put your fasteners, right? So they make screws that go in there, and they tell you that you need to be this practically in this area, right? Now, if you look at the Allura, it's pretty much the same thing, right? They use these printed, right? So if you take this corner, it looks like that corner, right? And the spacing, they're almost exactly the same. You can almost see exactly the layout. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is the thickness. I'm using 1/4 inch. And I'm using 1/4 inch on this one. And let's zoom in, see if I can zoom in up here for you. And they're exactly the same, which is so cool. Now, the edging of the Allura is beveled. The James Hardie is square. Now, if you can think of the next one sliding in, the bottom where it touches the wall will touch, and then there's a little gap, so it kind of makes a V. Thinset has a chance to go down in there and connect those together, right? It's because you have a surface area what allows that thinset to go in there. And so the binding of those two together, I would say maybe that's a little advantage. I don't know, but if you take the circumference of 3 by 5 all the way around, maybe it does. I don't know. I like the Hardie backer for the grid if you are doing, if you're going to do your cuts, you know. Say it's, I'm not sure, I haven't pulled a tape on it, but it looks like it's probably 1 inch. But if you can lay out your floor right, and you're like, okay, there, and then I'd be like, it's gonna be probably that one. Pull a tape, yeah, it's right there. You can stick your pencil in there, perfect straight line, without having to use like a drywall square, things like that. So a little advantage on that Hardie backer. So with that being said, today's chore is going to be the floor that you see behind me. And you can see all of it here. 28 by 20. Now, let's go out here and I'll show you how I brought this in here. So today's trip was to Lowe's, and I literally just had them pull it off the pallet and put it on there. And just stacked it there. Here is a little hack. So the piece that comes on the edge of the garage doors is like that. And so, I cut them with the razor blade because it had a little bend to it, right? And so it popped loose. I use these and I leave them in my car for the edging. It is perfect edging for my strap to lay over, right? So like if I'm strapping this down like that, then that doesn't cut into the edge of the cement board. I use this same trick with all of the drywall, right? However many, there's like a couple hundred sheets of drywall that went in my house here. I used these on those, and it kept, sorry, correct English here, it kept the drywall from getting broken on the edges, because when you want to ratchet that down to make sure that it doesn't slide around. So, little hack for you. I have placed the first layer down, and so I'll let you guys look at it. Now I'm going to cut the Hardie backer with my utility knife. And if you guys use a saw, then you're probably like, well, how in the world do you do that? So this is how I do it. So I scribe a line just like drywall. I'm going to cut this in half so we can stagger our joints. So here we go. I'll put it on the halfway mark. I scribe it just like that, a bunch of times, and don't worry, it'll just chew up the end of your utility knife. Kind of flattens it out, but it's the edge of the metal that scribes it just like that. Now, what it looks like, let's take a look, is, you can see the line in there. right there. Now, what I use is an edge, and so I'm gonna go over to the edge of that, almost like a break on a sheet metal break. So what I do is find me an edge. Sometimes it's a table edge, but what I do is I'll use this as like you can think like a sheet metal break, right? I'll use my weight on this side so that it didn't want to bend, and I get right on the edge, just like that. And so you can see I put my scribe right on the edge here, and then I just slowly work it. Listen. Like that. Pop it the other way. And what you have is a straight line all the way. To me, this works really well because I don't have to wear the mask. I don't have the saw. It makes all the dust. It's unbelievable. I still use the saw on the little intricate cuts, maybe circles, things like that. Maybe it's on the edge where it's hard to break it. But for big pieces like this, that is how I cut it. I have laid down, let's see, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, so 20 sheets. So I'm starting on number 21 here. The Hardie backer goes down just like the Allura. And so now let's go downstairs and show you what the Allura looks like, and I've used it for the walls and the ceiling. So let's go down there and I'll show you that. So I am in our bathroom. This would be the full bathroom. And so let's show you what the Allura looks like. So the Allura, it does not have the grid pattern. If I can get it to focus, there we go. It has the, just the printed on there locations. And it does not have the grid, so it's a little smoother. And this was the wedge I was telling you about that it creates. So that is the only difference that I can see in the panels. So the Hardie backer would have the grid, and the Allura has the beveled edges. But the feel is the same. It looks to me like that, I mean, even if you look at these like this and you didn't know which one was which, you couldn't tell them apart. So my final assessment of this is that there really is no difference. So it comes down to, do you like the grid pattern? The grid pattern is can work while you're installing it. That is probably simplified a little bit. But the grid pattern that is stamped onto these sheets is not absolutely perfect. I've noticed when I'm laying them out that sometimes they might be just ever so slightly off. So my final assessment is probably to buy it. Which place is closer? Who's running specials, right? Because the price points are so close. So all in all, the products to me are so identical that it really doesn't matter. I hope that helps for this episode, that this stuff, it doesn't really matter. They look almost identical. So We've gone over that it looks like they're almost made from the same stuff. It looks like they're pressed the same way. The only difference is that one uses a printer on top and the other one has a little bit more of a stamp to it. So it's really, that's a big deal to you, not in the price. So that's all I have. I hope this episode was helpful for you, and I will talk to you guys soon. So again, make sure and like and subscribe. Check out the other videos because we got a lot going on here. So talk to you guys soon.